is what we're going to go over. We're going to start by just going over a few definitions, like what are some of the words that we're going to be throwing out today, and what do they mean and how do they relate. We're going to be talking about different ways to start a search, how to sort of understand what you're seeing on your search results, and then some tips and tricks primarily for using Google, and I'll talk about why in a moment. And then we're going to finish up by talking a little bit about additional places to search if you're looking for something very specific, and also like ads. Okay, so let's get going, but first let's talk a little bit about what we're talking about today. When we're doing web search, we're using a browser. What is a browser? A browser is a software program that shows you websites, essentially. It's a program on your computer that you use to access the internet. So here we see a couple of sort of popular and common browsers. You probably were using one of these earlier today. Microsoft Edge, it's pretty good. Firefox, Google Chrome. If you have a Mac, you're probably using Safari. And then there's the Brave browser, which is fairly new. We're going to talk about that a little bit more later, but it does block ads and pop-ups the whole time that you're using it. So that one's kind of a crowd favorite sometimes. But that's what a browser is, and you can do an internet search in any browser. But you'll do that using a search engine. So a search engine is a little bit of a separate concept from a browser. A browser is the program that shows you web pages on the internet. The search engine is the thing you use to find the information that you want on those web pages. It's the thing that looks at all the web pages for you. And here are some popular ones. Google, it's so popular, it's a verb, just Google it. Google has more than a 91% market share. Everybody else is fighting for that extra 9%. The reason for that is that Google has gotten pretty good. Some other ones to call out are DuckDuckGo, which is a favorite of privacy advocates. And I put Microsoft Bing on there. So how a search engine works, just in broad strokes, it's not psychic. It's not a definitive answer on anything. But what each of these companies that have developed search engines do is they send little software robots, sometimes known as spiders, and they look at all the websites that everyone has posted on the internet. And they collect information about what keywords are on those websites, what information is on those websites. They're essentially creating an index to the internet, to all of the different websites that people put on the internet. So that's what's behind each of these search engines. And each of these search engines has its own formula, its own secret sauce for figuring out, okay, if this person typed in these keywords, these are going to be the web pages that they should be offered a chance to look at. Their information, I think their information is going to be on these web pages. And those, they call that the search algorithm. Those are secret. Each of these companies, any search engine company, keeps their search algorithm a secret. No one can know. And they change it sometimes, and they update it sometimes. And the reason why they keep it a secret is because if I have a website and I know how to make my website be the top result in anybody's search, I'm going to do that, right? I want, my website, katesplace.com, to be the top result. So whenever anybody searches, it would come up. So that's why the search engine companies kind of keep it close to the vest. But that's also why when you search the same terms in different search engines, you may get different results. It's because they're using a different formula to help decide which web pages might be most responsive to your search query. Now, Google has that large market share in part because they got really good at search. They paid attention to what people clicked on after they searched for stuff, and they refined and refined. And at this point, search is a lot easier than it used to be. You used to have to sort of think harder about a search term, and now Google pretty much seems to know what you're asking before you even type it. And it's because of all of those sort of studies and analyzing all the data that they collected over all that time. It helps them really refine and make more accurate, or more true to what you're really looking for, and help them refine the search results that way. So today we're going to talk we're not going to talk about Microsoft Bing. You can try it if you want to. We're going to talk a little bit about DuckDuckGo. Most of the tips and tricks we're going to be talking about today do apply to Google. Probably a lot of you are already using Google as your search engine, but it's worth knowing that there's different ones out there. And depending on where you are trying to go or what the defaults are in your browser, you could be using a different search engine. And then also, before we get going any further, a brief sort of overview of what's in a website address. And this is going to come up later when we're talking about search results. Every website has a unique address on the internet. And this part is the part that sort of tells you like who they are. And then this part, the top level domain, can tell you about what kind of website that is. So every website will be something, 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 .com, .org, .gov, .edu, .net is out there. You might see .tv. There's a lot of dots, but it'll always be something, .something. And the end part, what comes after the dot, can tell you a little bit about what kind of website you're looking at. And when you see it on your search results, it'll tell you a little bit about, your search results. So .com is the most common, and it means it's a commercial organization. It's selling you something. It's a business. .org used to really mean it was a nonprofit organization, and now it just means it's an organization. So it doesn't mean nonprofit as much as that used to. .gov means it's a government website. .edu means that it's a website from a school. So if I want to make sure I'm getting super, super credible information, I want to make sure that I'm searching for health information. I might be more inclined to look for health information on a website that's put up by a school or maybe by the government than I would be for health information that was put up on a website that's either trying to show me ads and make money or is trying to actively sell me something. And that might be the .com. So just a little bit of background on the different websites you're going to encounter when you do search. And now let's talk a little bit about search. Let's talk a little, nothing in the world is scarier than a live demo of internet search because it's different every time. Sometimes Google will A/B test different kinds of search results. So I'm not guaranteed to see the same thing anytime I search. But anyway, let's go. Let's do it. You guys with me? So what I've done is I've opened up an internet browser. I opened up Google Chrome, but this could happen in any internet browser. And when I'm going to start my search, there are two different places I can start. This space up here, this long horizontal oval up top, this is known as the address bar. And if I know exactly where I want to go, I can type in my web address here. For instance, I can type in sfpl.org and go directly to the library website. But I can also use this to type in search queries. So I could start my search by just typing in my keywords inside the address bar. So now I'm going to go to your second option for starting a search, which is to go to the web page of the search engine you want to use. In this case, I want to use Google. So I went to google.com, and then you see that sort of circle bubble in the middle of the page. I can also start my search here. Now, if I have a specific web address that I want to go to, I would really want to put that up here in the address bar and not down here in the search box. Like for instance, if I know I want to go to CNN, I can search for CNN and it'll probably be the first result like it is here. But if the website is less common, if it's more specific, sometimes I just get confusing results. So I'm only bringing this up because I see this a lot. If you know the website address you want to go to, put it up top. You don't have to search for it. If you have that, google.com, sfpl.org, that's your website address. That can go at the top. All right, so when I start typing in my search terms, another thing I want to point out is this long list of things that comes up below. These are suggestions. They're not required. It looks like a drop-down menu. It looks like I have to pick one of them, but I don't. These are just suggestions from the search engine it's doing like autocomplete. It's trying to help me out. It's trying to save me time. It knows I'm looking for something and it thinks maybe I'm looking for one of these things. If I like one of these, I can select it and it'll complete the search, but I don't have to. I can just search what I want to search by typing in my terms here and then pressing enter or clicking on the little magnifying glass. So let's take a moment to look at what you get when you do a search. I'm going to try the search Bay Area native plants. And then I get different things than I got last time. I get sort of a collection of different kinds of results. The first thing that it's showing me, Google kind of has a default where it sort of fundamentally thinks you want to go shopping all the time. It just assumes you want to go shopping and want to know where to go. So the first thing I'm seeing, this is nurseries that sell native plants based on Google Maps. If I scroll down, I'm seeing websites, listings for websites that the Google spiders found references to native plants. They found links relative to native plants on there. And then, so those are in the search engine's index as being websites that talk about native plants. So just looking at the two different kinds of web results here, what do I see? I see that one of them is .com. That tells me what? It tells me that it's a business. It's a nursery. They sell native plants. They probably have a lot of information about native plants on the site. But heads up to me, that's a business. Fundamentally, they would like me to buy something on that website. Down here, I see this, you see this little https://www.cnps.org. That's the website address that we were talking about earlier. And when I see that .org, that tells me, oh, that's organization. That might be a nonprofit. And I do see this as a website from the California Native Plant Society. So I know that they are probably not trying to sell me anything. And I might be able to find slightly more impartial or objective information there, maybe. Scrolling down my results, I see Google has presented me some query suggestions. People who did your search also did searches like this. They're helping me reformulate already in case I don't like what I'm seeing. I see more sort of traditional results, a sample picture from the page, a link that will take me to the page, a summary from the page, the URL from the page. Videos, pulling from YouTube, related searches, and then more sample searches down below. So scrolling up, that's a real hodgepodge of stuff, right? Like I've got maps, I've got like shopping results, I've got images, I've got videos. When you do a search on Google, when you use Google as your search engine, it's pulling information from all of its sort of different streams of content, all the different content that it's organized for you. And so just calling your attention to this horizontal menu here below the search bubble, you can see that currently I'm on all, right? But if I know that I'm just looking for images of Bay Area native plants, I can click here and it's going to refine my information. It's going to refine my search and just show me images of Bay Area native plants. Below each picture, I can see some information about where, the caption of the photo and where the photo was hosted. This has gotten better over the years, by the way. It used to be you would see some stuff in here that wasn't relevant at all, and they've really refined this. That map content from the first search result, I can just focus in on that and look for where I can find Bay Area native plants, probably nurseries on a map. If I want to see news stories about Bay Area native plants, I can click on that tab. But that's sort of, when you're on all, you're seeing all of these streams combined together. You're seeing it all in one. But if you know that you want to sort of separate things out, you can do that too. And then the thing that I wasn't able to turn up on this search, that I'm hoping I can make pop up later, is an ad. Ads are going to be there too. Skincare is definitely going to get ads. And Mother's Day. Crazy. All right. We will see an ad together at some point during our class, and I will point it out. But ads can appear at the top of your search result. They can appear sort of in the middle. Sometimes there's like a long image of like a long scroll bar. Whenever it's an ad, it has to say that it's an ad. That's like internet rules. It has to tell you it's an ad. It just doesn't have to make it that obvious. So when we are searching later and we encounter an ad, we'll talk a little bit about like the different ways that can look. But it's worth sort of taking a moment to look at your search results and see what you've got, because some of the things near the top may be ads. And ads are not, habits might get me an ad. Yeah. Ads are not like evil. They're just trying to sell you something. That's part of how a lot of these free services are free, is that they're selling ad space to advertisers. So it can be annoying. And you may decide you want to block certain kinds of cookies. You may decide that you want to adjust the settings so you see fewer of a certain kind of ad, but they're not hacking you. They're just kind of part of life on the internet. Some things to keep in mind as you're planning your search or thinking about your search. One of them is that you don't need to include the word and. Whenever your search terms, when I typed Bay Area native plants, Google assumes that I meant I want all of these words to be there. Back in, I've been a librarian for a long time. I've been talking about internet search for a long time. Back in the day, you kind of had to say and. Now you don't. And is implied. If you want to use or, so let's say you're searching for, I don't know, brunch or breakfast, or like race or marathon, you can use or. You may not need to. Google has already started sort of using synonyms for what you're searching. It'll already kind of like conjugate. So if you search for run, you're also going to get things that have running in them. So you really kind of don't have to worry about it, but you can use the term or if you feel like it's going to help your search. It's mostly baked in, but it's available to you. You don't have to worry about spelling. It's going to correct your spelling, and capitals don't matter. So that's another thing you don't have to worry about. You don't have to worry about capitalizing appropriately. You don't have to worry about spelling. It's going to be fine. So that's just some like general basics. Also, librarian moment here, general basics. When I'm doing a search, you start with sort of like simple keywords that capture what you're looking for, but are not too specific. Because the more keywords you put in, the fewer results you're going to get. when you're adding in a keyword, you're asking Google to find things that are relevant to that keyword and this keyword and all the keywords you put in. And so you're sort of narrowing the universe of things that you're going to see. So if you're not turning up the information that you want, it's better to think about changing your keywords than just adding more. Because more of nothing is just more nothing, right? Like you're just making it even harder for Google to find things that are responsive to what you want that have all those words. So just sort of general philosophy, I would start small and then refine. And here are some ways to refine. I'm guessing you probably have heard this one, but if you haven't, it's very, very helpful. If you want an exact phrase, put that phrase in quotes. That tells Google I want these words in this order and not in any other order. And I'm going to demonstrate that in just a moment. Another one, and this is one of my favorites, is if you're searching for something and you're getting results that are about something totally different, you can try to sort of eliminate results from a category by doing a minus sign next to a keyword. The minus sign needs to go exactly next to the word, no spaces, and that tells Google not this. It's like saying not instead of and. So let's take a look at what those look like real quick. So let's say I'm looking for something called Line the Walk. Maybe there's a local event in my community called Line the Walk, and I want to know more about it. But based on the millions and millions of people who search for things every day, the search engine has decided that what I'm probably looking for is a Johnny Cash biopic. It sees that all of these words are in my search, and the most common thing that people are looking for when they type those words is Walk the Line. And it looks like the movie is really kind of dominating the search results there. So if I want to tell Google, no, for real, I meant Line the Walk, I can put it in quotes. So do you see up top how I changed the search result? That's gonna tell the search engine, okay, no, really, I mean these words in this order. This is an exact quote. And so then it'll find that. Also, I forgot to mention something that I think it's good to mention, so I'm going to mention it right now, which is that the search engine knows what my IP address is, which is sort of like how my computer is connecting to the internet. And so it knows roughly where I am. It doesn't know like where I am, like it can't like find me, but it knows generally where I am. So if I'm searching for, I want to go get a pedicure, it knows I'm in San Francisco. And it's showing me results in San Francisco. If I want to take a garden tour, it thinks I'm in San Francisco. If I want to know about garden tours somewhere else, I better tell it, I better put in that place location there. So that's just, and when you're thinking about your keywords, that's something to sort of keep in mind. Like if I don't want results that are relevant to where I am right now, I need to tell the search engine where I'm interested in. All right, so for eliminating a term, let's say I heard there was an earthquake in San Jose, but I'm not trying to find out about soccer. What are these results about? These are all about soccer, right? So I'm like, oh, okay, Google's confused. There's been a misunderstanding. It thinks I want to know about the San Jose Quakes, which are a soccer team. So I'm going to do a minus sign. And you see how the minus is directly up against the keyword soccer? No spaces. That's just going to throw it off. No space, just minus, and then the word you want to eliminate. You can keep on adding minus terms, but usually like one or two will clear out your results for you. So San Jose earthquake, no soccer. And I still get this soccer score, which I think is sort of funny. But if I scroll down a little bit, now I'm getting results about earthquakes that were near San Jose. Recent earthquakes near San Jose. What was the last earthquake? Latest earthquakes. So, okay. Removing that keyword soccer helped me. Generally, this is going to come in handy when there's like real confusion about when there's like two things with the same name. A great example for this used to be Mike Honda, the representative from San Jose, and then like Honda dealerships in San Jose. But now it's just getting really, really hard to get Honda dealerships out of the listing. But generally, when there's like people with the same name, it's not as good for refining a search. It's really good for like just unconfusing a search for, oh no, I'm getting this, but I wanted that thing entirely, something else entirely. So you minus out the thing that's just confusing the search engine for you. We talked a little bit about what the domain endings mean, and then we type. So there may be times when you are looking for information and you sort of want to refine the kind of website that you're getting because you want to be picky about it. You maybe don't want to make sure you're not seeing like sales and things like that. Similarly, there may be times when you're looking for information and you know it should come from a particular website, but it's just a really big website. You can tell Google to search within either a kind of website or within a specific website by typing site : and then dot the domain ending you're interested in or the domain itself that you're interested in. So for instance, let's say I'm just curious, like, is there a way to reverse aging? But if I type that, am I gonna get ads yet? What do I have to do to get ads? If I type that out here, I'm not sure what I'm gonna get. So I want to refine my search. Reverse aging. I want to see if there's any government websites, real super official vetted information, government websites that talk about reversing aging. So what I've done is I put reverse aging, and then I did site : .gov. And that got me to PubMed, which is a free government website that has health publications and health research on it. That got me to aging.ca.gov, a couple of library things. So it helped me kind of like filter out some of the more commercial, some of the more like, please buy our thing, spend money here, results that I might have seen. Similarly, just to prove to you it works, sfpl.org. I want to know more about Tech Week. And I think Tech Week information is going to be on the library website. So I can type in site : sfpl.org. And then here are my results about SF Tech Week. So those are a couple of more tricks. And then here comes one of my favorites. Image search. Isn't this rose pretty? One of my favorites. Let's say I forget what it's called. But I have this picture. What can I do? Well, I can, I've got a couple of options. I can just search like roses, red, yellow. Maybe I see the picture there. No, this is just random stuff. What about rose? Oh, rose varieties. Rose types, like rose varieties, right? Red, yellow. This looks more promising. What if I, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll go to images. And then I can either, frankly, I can scroll through these. If I'm trying to match a picture, doing my keywords in an image search is not a bad idea. But if you're on a desktop, you have an even fancier option. You can search using the picture itself. So up here, there's the search box, and then you see that little camera icon on the right-hand side. That's giving me the option to either paste in the image website from an image hosted someplace else or upload a photo of my own. So I'm searching on my computer, I'm selecting the file I want to upload. And now it's searching Google based on the picture that I just gave it. And this has got me the correct result. This is actually called a ketchup and mustard rose. And I was able to find that information by uploading a photo of the thing I was looking for into Google Images. And it nailed it. I get similar images and I get straight up information on this rose, which is actually not that common a type of rose. So just because that's one of my favorite tricks, let's back up one more time. We went to, you won't see that option just on regular Google search, but if you go to images, last time I checked, this doesn't work on mobile. So on your phone, this would be harder to do. But on like the desktop Google, that little camera icon will be in the search bubble for you. And when you click it, you can upload a photo and search by that. Great for plant ID, great for location ID, just kind of a fun thing to know about. Other fun things to know about, Google hacks, Google tricks. Google search can provide you a lot of shortcuts you might like to know about. For instance, if I want to know what the weather is, all I really have to do is type in weather. I don't have to go to like AccuWeather.com and look it up there. It knows my IP address, so it knows where I am, and it's showing me the weather for my location. I can switch units. So let's say 3 feet in meters. It'll calculate it for me. So all I have to do is get to that search box and type in the units that I want to convert, and it'll be there. It'll also, I've used this more than I ever thought I would. It'll also look up flight status for you. So if you want to know if your flight is late or not, I just typed in a flight number. You do have to have the airline, I think. But now it's telling me that Southwest flight 1536 looks like it's 5 minutes late. So there's just sort of a lot of information that's just at your fingertips there. If I don't want to do math, 75 divided by 4, I'm just typing in 75/4. And it'll pop up with a calculator for me. So that Google search box can save you a lot of time, and it is also your dictionary. If I type define, colon, and then the word I want, it'll find a dictionary result. And it'll put it right up top.
Okay, do you want to show them using the microphone to do a voice search?
All right, let's try it. What should I search for? So over here, the search bubble, if I want to allow Google to just sort of hear my voice so I don't have to type, I can click on the little microphone to choose search by voice. I have to allow Google to use my microphone. Ooh. Sorry, it's still talking to me over here. Let me try this again. Gray whale migration. And so when I'm doing that, it's also starting to automatically read me the results, which is very distracting on my end, but I don't think you guys can hear it on yours. But yeah, that's a nice trick for if you don't want to be typing along. So we're pretty close to where I wanted to get to questions, but there were like 2 more things I wanted to talk about briefly. So I'm going to race through them if that's okay. So we covered all of those. Those are fun. One is that, so have you guys heard the term deep web? Deep web just refers to information that's hosted on the internet that may not be indexed by search engines, either because it's behind some sort of login or password protection wall, or because there's a paywall, like you need to subscribe in order to see that information, or because it's a social media account. And sometimes if you're looking for really specific stuff, a broad search may not be the best way to get what you want. So a brief overview. If you're looking for scholarly research, if you're looking for scientific papers, academic papers on stuff. Google has an excellent index of those at scholar.google.com. You may not be able to actually read them because many of those require very, very expensive access, but you can at least see what's out there and then maybe track it down at your local library. Similarly, actually both archive.org and Google have an index of books that you can search now. So books.google.com, you can search for information within books. They've scanned the pages of millions of books and they're available for web search. Internet Archive as well. I'm not trying to talk about Google as much as I have been today normally. Internet Archive, which is a nonprofit locally based here, has also been scanning books. And if you go to archive.org, you can search the text of those books. So that would be an example of like more of a deep web thing because they're not going to come up in your search results normally. Also, the Wayback Machine. Try this out after class. web.archive.org will take you to the Wayback Machine. And what Internet Archive has been doing is like periodically, a few times a year, they'll capture an image of what a web page looks like. So if I want to know what sfpl.org looked like 10 years ago, I can actually find out. I can see what was on our homepage at a selection of dates by going to this website. It's super fun and kind of a trip to see like how websites have changed. So I do recommend checking that out, web.archive.org. Also, newspapers, scholarly work, all sorts of stuff is available to you for search for free with your library card. This really is deep web. Health information, things that are not just like freely available and posted. The library has gotten access for you. So if you're looking for something very specific and you're striking out on the web, it's worth taking a look at sfpl.org/articles-databases, which is our databases page. So magazines, newspapers, similarly, genealogy research is usually behind some kind of login or paywall. Your library card will also get you through that. And so if you're interested in that, check out our websites, our resources at sfpl.org/genealogy. So the summary here is that not everything is going to turn up in the first few pages of your search results. You may need to choose a more specialized resource, and many of them are available to you through the library.
Okay, can you explain the difference between the deep web and the dark web?
Dark web is a shady corner of the deep web that you have to have a special browser to organize or to access, and it is beyond the scope of this class. That's where the crime is. Deep web is okay. Deep web is not scary. It just means you like need a password. It means that somebody is trying to charge for this content or that it's private to someone. Like your social media account would be characterized as deep web. And then real quick, ads and privacy. So when you're searching, you see ads, and when you're searching, you might be interested in your privacy. There are a couple of things that you can do to change your circumstances here. One of them is that if you're signed into Google, and this is if you have like a Gmail address and you go to manage my account, there's a setting in there to turn off ad personalization. And that just means that like stop using information you've collected about me to show me targeted ads for shoes. I personally see many ads for shoes. And they're right. I want to see those ads for shoes. But if that's just bothering you, you can turn it off in Google. In any browser that you're using, including in Google Chrome, which I am currently using, in the upper right-hand corner of your browser, there's going to be some kind of menu. It may look like 3 vertical dots. It may look like 3 vertical lines. Every browser will have something there. If you click it, you will see something for settings. And then you will see something for privacy and security. If you go to cookies and other site data, you will see your options for what kind of cookies can be put on your computer. What's a cookie? Cookies are little bits of data that tell the website information about you and where you've been. Some of them are what makes a website function effectively. Third-party cookies are the ones that kind of follow you around the internet and show you ads for things you looked at a minute ago. Does that ever happen to you guys? You're looking for like gardening supplies someplace, and then 2 websites later, you see an ad for the very same like garden thing you were looking at a minute ago. And you're like, oh, that's a third-party cookie. You can tell your browser to just either block all cookies, which that's going to make websites not work as well. Websites really do use cookies in order to like retain your login information if you logged in or remember where you've been on the site. The third-party cookies are the ones that follow you around. Those are the ones you probably want to block. So again, 3 dots in the upper right-hand corner, settings, privacy and security. We did this in Google Chrome. Whatever browser you were using is going to have a very similar path to get to that information. Time to talk about DuckDuckGo. DuckDuckGo is a search engine that you can use, and it doesn't allow like little websites to put little trackers on your computer. It completely forgets about whatever you just searched. It doesn't retain any information about searches. It's a very privacy-forward browser. It's totally free for you to use. You can get to it by going to duckduckgo.com. You may have seen ads for it. It's friendly, and you can use it like in whatever browser you want to use. Let me see if I can make it show me an ad. Finally got an ad. So excited. All right, so here, you see this, you see like tiny little, it says ads. That's how I can tell this is an ad on DuckDuckGo. Also here, it says report ad. I guess that's their way of saying, hey, this is an ad. Here's another report ad. And then here are my search results that are not an ad. The ads have to tell you that they are ads, but they will do it in a very small way. On Google, it tends to be over here on the left-hand side. I'm going to try one last time to make Google show me an ad. I swear, every time I do this class, I see plenty of ads. And then as soon as it's time for class, no more ads. Oh man, so rough. It's like it knows. Okay. And then the last thing is that the Brave browser, I mentioned that a little bit earlier, blocks ads, blocks cookies extraordinaire. They've also come up with a search engine. It's, what do they call it? In beta, which means they're not promising that it works perfectly right now, but it will, by definition, never show you an ad. Just no ads. Maybe. And you can see the results are pretty different. So, but if you really hate ads and you never want to see another ad, check out Brave, the Brave browser, search.brave.com. And I was just unclear right then. There is a browser. There's a whole browser for that. Or if you don't want to download the browser, you can go to search.brave.com and get a lot of the benefits of just like an ad-free existence. But the search may not be as good. That's the trade-off.